What if I told you there's a cost in your investments that quietly eats your wealth every single day? And the scariest part? You don't even feel it happening. Meet Jake. Jake is smart. He works hard, saves consistently, and finally decides to invest in mutual funds. He sits across from his advisor, who shows him a fund that's been performing well. "Don't worry," the advisor says, "it only costs 1% per year." Jake smiles. 1%? That sounds harmless, almost invisible. So he invests $10,000. Years go by. The market grows. Jake feels proud. He's doing everything right. But what Jake doesn't see is that 1% is not just a fee. It's a leak. A leak in a bucket he's trying to fill for decades. Because in investing, small numbers don't behave the way your brain thinks they do. And this is where the real story begins. Let's uncover the first hidden truth. Your brain thinks in straight lines, but money grows in curves. Jake hears 1% per year and thinks, okay, I lose a little bit each year. But that's not what actually happens. Because of compounding, that 1% doesn't just reduce your returns, it compounds against you. Imagine two parallel universes. In one, Jake invests in a fund with a 0.1% expense ratio. In the other, he invests in a fund with a 1% expense ratio. Everything else is identical. After 30 years, the difference is not 0.9%. It can be tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why? Because the fee is not just taken from your money, it's taken from your future growth of that money. You're not just losing dollars, you're losing time working for you. Here's the second hidden truth that elite investors understand. Humans ignore what they can't see. Expense ratios are invisible. You don't get a bill. You don't get a notification. The money is quietly deducted inside the fund. So psychologically, your brain categorizes it as not real. Compare that to a $10 subscription on your phone. You'll cancel that instantly. But a fee that could cost you $100,000 over time? You ignore it because it's hidden. Top investors understand this. The most dangerous costs are the ones you don't feel. Think of your investment like a tree. You plant it today, and over time, it grows branches, leaves, and fruit. Now imagine someone comes every year, not to cut the tree down, but to trim just a tiny part of it. You barely notice, but over decades, your tree is smaller, weaker, and produces less fruit than it could have. That's what an expense ratio does. It doesn't destroy your investment, it just ensures it never reaches its full potential. And here's the twist. High expense ratios often come with a promise: better management, smarter decisions, beating the market. But study after study shows something uncomfortable. Most actively managed funds don't outperform the market after fees, so you're paying more for something that statistically underdelivers. Here's the third hidden truth that elite investors understand. Fees are the only thing in investing that are guaranteed. Returns are uncertain, markets fluctuate, predictions fail. But fees? They are certain, consistent, and relentless. Which means every extra percentage you pay is a guaranteed reduction in your wealth. Top investors don't obsess over predicting markets. They obsess over controlling what's certain. And expense ratios are one of the few levers you fully control. So how do you use this in real life? Start by flipping your mindset. Instead of asking, how much can I earn? Start asking, how much am I silently losing? Look at the expense ratio of every fund you own. Not casually, seriously. Compare a 1% fund to a 0.1% fund. That 0.9% difference might look small, but over decades, it can be the difference between retiring comfortably or working years longer than you planned. And here's the powerful shift. You don't need to take more risk. You don't need to find the next big stock. Sometimes the smartest move is simply stop overpaying. Because wealth isn't just built by what you earn, it's protected by what you don't lose. And in the world of investing, the biggest threats are rarely loud. They're silent, invisible, and hiding in plain sight, inside something as simple as a 1% fee. So the next time someone says, it's only 1%, remember, that might be the most expensive only of your life.